Hello and welcome to Divi Coaching. My most popular tutorial to date has been one making a transparent header module with transparent menu. I made that some time ago now and things have moved on with Divi. We now have both scroll options and sticky options. So I've remade the tutorial, adding in full responsiveness and also the ability to change on scroll and to stick to the top of the window. So this is what we're going to be building, and if we start to scroll you can see that the menu at the top changes from transparent to a solid white and shrinks slightly in size. And also if we go down to a phone size we can see the menu is completely responsive, and you can see again that when we scroll the colours change. So let's get on and build this without any further delay. I'm starting with a brand new installation of WordPress, and all I've done so far is install the Divi theme. So I'm going to go in and set up a couple of things. The first thing I'm going to do is go into Appearance and into Customize. And this takes us into the WordPress Customizer. Now I use that very little, but there's a few settings that I do like to come in here and sort out before I start working on a site. So if we go into General Settings and Site Identity, we can upload our site icon. So at the moment this little globe at the top here is being used as a site icon. I'd like to have my little Divi coaching logo. So to do that, I go into Select Site Icon. I don't have it in the media library, so Upload Files. And what you want is a 512 by 512 PNG image. And I can upload that and select that, and that has set my site icon. Next thing I'm going to do is come back to Layout Settings. And I don't want my content width to be 1080, I want it to be 1200. We're actually going to override it in the theme builder anyway, but for now I've set that to 1200. And also the theme accent color, I may as well set it with my accent color for the project, which is actually going to be a bright pink color, which is F200BB. So there's my bright pink color, and once I've set that, I'm going to go back to the typography settings and I'm going to set up my fonts. Now again, you can choose these in Divi, but if you set them up here, they're defaulted. So as soon as you choose a heading, it's going to default to the right font. So I want Montserrat as my font here. Always frustrating that you have to scroll through to find these fonts rather than type them. So there we are, Montserrat. And then for my body font, I'm going to use Nunito Sans. So again, we scroll down until we find Nunito Sans. There it is, and we click on that. So I've now set up my fonts. I'm also going to set the body link color to be my pink color as well. So again, we go in here and we go F200BB, and that has set that color as well. I'm now going to publish all of those changes. Next thing I'm going to do is to go into Divi and into Theme Options. And again, I want to set my color. So I'm not going to be using red on my site. So I'm going to come in here, insert my color again, F200BB. So there is my pink color, and I'm going to click on Save Changes. Right, now that I've set up the basics, I'm going to go into Pages and I'm going to add a new page. And I'm going to call that page Home Page, and I'm going to click to use the Divi Builder. I'm then going to click Build from Scratch. Now I don't want to use this first section, so I'm going to come out of the menu and I'm going to insert a new section. The section I want is a full width section, and it's going to be a full width header section. I can then come into Design, Layout, and I want this section to be centered, so I'm going to click on the center layout and I want it to be full screen. Now you can see it's taken my background color, but we're going to fix that in a minute. Now that I've inserted this section, I don't need this first section, so I'm simply going to click on the trash can here to remove it. I can now come in and start to set up this full width header. I'm going to go down to background. I don't want this pink, so I'm going to delete the pink color. And what I do want is an image background. And I've actually decided to use a different image for the desktop and for the tablet and mobile views. In order to do that, I'm going to click here on Responsive Options. I'm going to make sure that I'm on Desktop. I'm going to click on Background Image and Add Background Image. and the one I'm going to use is my cityscape. Now, all of the images for this whole demonstration are available either by going to the website, which I will leave up after the tutorial is posted, and that is at header.divicoaching.com, or alternatively, you'll find a link in the description to load all of the assets as a zip file. The images I've credited, they come from Unsplash, and you can find the credits in the image description. So I click on my cityscape, which is a 920 by 1080 image, and click to upload. Now, I'm going to choose the tablet, and I don't want the same image. I've created a portrait version of this, which will look better in the tablet and phone view. And so I'm going to delete the image from this view, click on Add Background Image again, and I'm going to choose this version, which I've cropped to a 768 by 1024 size, and I'm going to use that, which is a much better image for the tablet and mobile version. So once I've done that, I'm going to click on OK, and I've created the background. We then need to sort out this text in the middle. So to do that, I'm going to go into the module settings. I'm going to give this a title, which is going to be Summer in the City. And I'm going to go into Design, Title Text, and this is an H1. The title font is default because we are going to use Montserrat, so that's fine. But the the font weight I'd like to use is ultra bold, and the title size, again, I'm going to click on the responsive option so I can set a different size for the desktop and for the two responsive sizes. And for the desktop, I'm going to go with 4 rem. Now, using rem sizing, that means it is relative to the font size that has been set as default. I'm not going to go into the full explanation of that. If you Google it, you can find some reading on why using rem is good, why it helps with accessibility and also with responsiveness. I would also like a little bit of letter spacing, so I'm going to pop just 1 pixel of letter spacing in here, and I would like it to be all capitals. So I'm going to choose the all capitals option here. As we're making this site responsive, we're going to look at the responsive sizes as well. Now, I think that works fine on the tablet. And then if we go to phone, clearly that's really not working. It's overflowing the box here. So I need to change the size, and I'm going to drop this down to 2 rem in this case, and that looks fine on the phone option. Okay, now that we've done that, this text doesn't really stand out very well. So what we're going to do is we're going to come into the full width header setting again. We're going to go back into background. To fix the readability, I'm going to put an overlay over the image. And to do that, I need to just click on background color. I need to add a background color, so I'm going to add black in this case. And you can see that immediately the black has overlaid the image 100%. So I'm then going to go into the settings for the color, and I'm going to dial this down until we get to a look that makes everything readable. I think that looks pretty good. And I'm going to check that that works also on the 2 responsive sizes. Excellent. So no, I'm happy with that. Next thing we want to do is come in and pick a size for this text. So I'm going to go to Design. I'm going to go to Body Text. And again, I think we need to increase the weight slightly. So I'm going to go with semi-bold. And I'm going to up the size for the desktop to 1.5 rem. That looks pretty good, but obviously the spacing's got rather tight. So I think we'll go with 1.4 m for my spacing. I'm very happy with that. Okay, so next we need to move on to the buttons. Now we've only got 1 button at the moment. The reason for that is with this particular module, you need to type text into the second button to have it appear. So the 2 buttons that I want to say are contact. I mean, obviously you can put whatever you want in here, but I'm going to say contact. And the first button is going to be find out more. And we want to change the styling for these buttons. So we're going to go into design. We start with button 1, and we want to choose use custom styles for button 1. The color is fine. The size is fine. The background color, I want to use my pink. I don't want a border, so I'm going to remove the thickness of the border. We like the border radius. Not very readable, the text again, so the font is default, but I'm actually going to go upper weight with that to semi-bold. Again, I'm going to choose all uppercase. I'm happy with that. Show button icon. I don't want an icon on this button, so I'm going to turn it off. I want the same settings for button 2. So in order to do that, I'm going to click on this little ellipsis menu here, and I'm going to choose Copy Button 1 Styles. I'm then going to scroll down to my button 2, open the menu, choose Use Custom Styles for button 2, and then I'm going to paste button 1 styles. And you can see my button 2 immediately changes into the same styling as the button 1. Now I don't want button 2 to be exactly the same, so I'm going to come in and edit it. And what I want that's different is I'd quite like an icon here. So I'm going to show a button icon. The icon I'm going to show is a phone. So I'm going to come in and choose a phone. And I'd like that phone to be on the left-hand side, and I'd like it to always be visible. So there we are. So we've got an instant telephone button. We can then set the link on that button to be phone. And when someone clicks it, it will automatically dial the call for you. So I'm pretty happy with the look of this now. The next thing we're going to do is have a bit more of a closer look at the responsive sizes. So if we come down here and we choose the tablet, we can see that that also looks good. And if we now go to the phone view, that doesn't look so good. I don't really like the way all of this is going on here. This is too big, this is too small, these buttons don't work. So we need to go in here and we need to change some settings. So we'll come into the full width header setting. Let's have a look at the headline first. So if we come into the headline, we come down to size. Now I've gone with 2 rem there. I don't think that's big enough. I'm going to go with 2.5 rem. There we go, that looks fine. Then we need to go into the text. That is obviously also too big. So 1.5 rem, let's go with 1 rem. That's much better. Also, I'd like this to be a bit wider, so we can have another look at that in a minute. So let's sort out the buttons. So I'm going to come down to the button. Now, what's most annoying about this button is the size of it. And unfortunately, there's nothing I can do to actually change the button width here. What I can do, though, is go into Advanced, into Custom CSS. And if you scroll down, you will find that you do have an entry for both buttons. So I'm going to go with button 1, and I'm going to go width, and I'm going to increase it to 100%. And I'm then going to copy that CSS, and I'm going to paste it into button 2, and I'm going to make that 100%. And I think that works much better for this particular view. Finally, I'm going to try and increase the width of this a little bit. And if you scroll up a little bit further, you'll find there is something called a header container. Currently, Divi sets this to a maximum width, and we want to undo that. So I'm going to say width, and I'm going to go with 100% to see what happens. And actually, that's fine. That looks perfect. So we'll leave it as is. So now we've got the 3 different sizes. We've got the desktop version. Now you can see something's gone wrong there. I didn't want to change that to 100%. So we need to go in there and fix it. That's why you need to constantly be looking at what you're doing. So we're going to go into the full width header section. I'm going to go into Advanced, into Custom CSS, come back down to my button again. And what I should have done, instead of having this set for all sizes, I should have restricted this on both buttons to be for the smaller sizes only. So I'm going to delete this, which fixes this. And I'm just going to go to the phone size. And for the phone size only, I'm going to paste in my CSS to make the button 100% width. Good, I'm happy with that. And I'm going to publish this page. So now we've created our header. The next thing we need to do is actually make our menu work and make it sit on top of the full width header. So that's the next part of the tutorial. When you're building a website, you need to constantly check things. And in fact, just clicking through this for one more time to make sure that I'm happy with all 3 sizes. I'm happy with the mobile size. I'm happy with the desktop size. But when I clicked on the tablet size, this is too big and I'm not quite sure what's gone wrong. So I'm going to go in and have a quick look. So clicking on the full width header settings, I remember that I increased the width of this block here using advanced and custom CSS. And if I go in here, you can see that I increased the header container for all sizes. What I should actually have done was only increased it for the phone size. So I'm going to go into the desktop, I'm going to remove it, I'm going to go into the mobile only, and I'm going to say width 100%. That's the result that I wanted. You can see it's really easy to mess up one setting if you're not paying attention and if you don't keep constantly checking. Okay, that done, we can save this, we can save again, and we can now start looking at making the transparent sticky header. So I'm going to exit the Visual Builder, having made sure I've saved everything, and we can now look at building this menu. So the first thing I'm going to do is go into menus, and I'm going to create a menu. I have a few items in here already, but I don't want to start creating any more pages, so I'm just going to add the rest of them as custom links. So I'm going to click on custom link, and then if you simply add a hash symbol in here, you can then add a link. So in this case, I'm going to add a page called blog. I can say add to menu, and I can do the same for about, events, and contact. Okay, now I want to stack these up. So I actually want the homepage link to be last, so I'm going to drag that down to the bottom. I want about to be first. I want events to be second. Then I want the events themselves to be art, sports, and finally music. And just by dragging them across to the right slightly, it makes them into sub-menu items. So when I'm happy with all of these, I'm going to click on Save Menu. If I then go back to the site, you can see that I've got all of the items at the top. The next thing we want to do is to tell Divi to use a static page as its home page. So to do that, we're going to go into the dashboard. We're going to come down to settings and we're going to click on reading. And we're then going to say a static page, and the page we're going to choose is home page. And then we're going to save changes. Then if we go back into the site, we will see our home page, but we will still see the ordinary standard Divi menu at the top. So in order to fix that, we're going to go into the dashboard and we're going to go into the theme builder and we're going to build our new header. What we want to build is a global header, and we're going to say build global header. To start off here, I'm going to add a new row, and that row is going to be a single column row, and I'm not going to insert any modules for a moment. First thing I'm going to do is go into the settings for this row, and in order to have a menu that changes on scroll, we're going to be changing the background color of that row, and to make that look right, we need to set the row width to be 100% of the width of our site. So we're going to go into design, we're going to go into sizing, and we're going to set the width of this row to be 100%, and we're also going to make sure we set the max width to be 100% as well. So here we are, we have a row which is the full width. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to go into the section settings, and we don't want any spacing in this section. So we're going to go in and we're going to remove the padding and the margin from the top and bottom of the section. So here we are, we simply have a row. We're then going to go into this row, we're going to add a module, and the module we're going to add is a menu module. And the menu we want is main menu, so that's correct. Now, in order to see what we're doing as we start to make the transparency for this menu, I'm going to give this row a background color just temporarily so that we can see what we're doing. So I'm going to go in and just add a gray color, and I'm then going to go into the menu itself and into the background for the menu, and I'm going to make it transparent. So now we can start to see what we're doing. So the first thing is we don't want the menu text to be tight up against the left-hand side. So we're going to go into the row, into design, into spacing, and we're going to give the row 15% padding on both the left and click on the little link in the middle to make sure that we have a 15% margin on both the left and right-hand side. Now we can start to sort out the actual menu text itself. So the first thing we're going to do is add our logo. And in this case, we are going to add an image, and that image is going to be my In the City logo. Now, again, you can find a link to this in the description, or you can take it, as I say, from the site. And I'm going to go with upload an image. Now, that's way too big at the moment, so we're going to go into design. We're going to go to sizing, and logo width, I'm going to set to be 15 viewport widths. I think that works pretty well. I'm also then going to go into responsive sizing, look at the tablet view, and that's too small on the tablet. So for the tablet, I'm going to go with 20 viewport widths. In fact, still a bit small. Let's go with 25 viewport widths. Excellent. And then on the phone size, still too small, so we're going to go with 50 viewport widths. Excellent. I'm happy with that. And we're going to click Save. So now we've sorted out the logo, we need to sort out the menu text itself. First thing we want to do is push that over to the right-hand side. So if we go into Design and Menu Text and we scroll down a bit, we will find Text Alignment. And if we choose Right, it will nip over to the right-hand side. Next thing we want to do is sort out the color. So we're going to go into Menu Text Color and we're going to choose White. I'm going to go with all uppercase again, and I need to increase the size a bit. So for the menu text size, again, I'm going to choose the responsive option. For the desktop, I'm going to go with 1.2 rem, which I'm happy with. I think it could do with being a little heavier, so I'm going to choose the semi-bold weight. Okay, that looks great. And then on tablet, we haven't really adjusted anything yet, but you can just about see the text in here, and that I also think looks fine. And then if we go to the phone version, that's looking, I think, a little bit too large. So I'm actually going to go with 1.1 rem in here, just to reduce the size slightly. I think we've got a little bit too much space here. So I'm going to go into the row settings, design and spacing. And I'm going to remove a little bit of the top and bottom padding. So I'm going to say go with 20 pixels, which looks much better. And I'm going to choose that for both the top and bottom. So happy with that. So let's now see what this looks like. So one final step before we can do that is that we need to go into the settings for the section. We need to go into background and we need to make sure that it's set to transparent. We then also need to go into advanced and we need to go to position and we need to check that it's set to relative. We can then go into the row settings, into advanced, position, and because we want this to sit on top of our image on the page, we're going to choose absolute and we're going to choose the center and we're going to click on OK. Now I don't need my grey color anymore, so I'm going to go into the row, background, and I'm simply going to delete the grey colour. Now I can save, I can exit the Visual Builder, click on Save Changes again, and I can go and visit site. And here we are, we have my transparent header with my menu, everything looking pretty good. Now, currently when it scrolls, nothing happens, and I want to do something about that. To see the page scrolling, it's always good to have a bit more content down the bottom of the page. So I'm going to enable the Visual Builder and I'm going to add a section that I've already got made. So I'm going to come down to the bottom here, click to add a new section, add from library, and the section I've got in my library is just called Summer in the City, and it has a row of blurbs. So now we can see that we've got a little bit of content at the bottom. And again, that blurb row is also available from a link in the description. The next thing we want to do is we want to make this header stick to the top of the screen. So in order to do that, we're going to go into Edit Header Template. We're going to go into the section. We're going to go into Advanced, and we're going to go with Scroll Effects, and we're going to say Sticky Position, Stick to Top. And we don't need to change any other settings. We can just click on OK. And then when we save this and exit the Visual Builder, we'll find that our menu sticks to the top of the screen. However, it's not very readable. So what we want to do is change some of the settings in the row so that as we scroll, it changes color and actually gets a little bit smaller as well. So in order to do that, we're going to go back into the Visual Builder. We're going to edit the header template. We're going to go into the row settings, and in design, we're going to go to spacing, and in the padding section we're going to click on this little pin, which is for the sticky option. And what I want is when it's on sticky, so again choose the pin here, when it's on sticky I don't want 20 pixels top and bottom anymore, I only want 10 pixels. So for my sticky option, so my ordinary option is that, and my sticky option is that. So that's what I want to do, just shrink it slightly on sticky. The next thing I want to do is change the background color for the row. So I'm going to go into content, I'm going to go into background, and again I'm going to choose the sticky option. And what I want is when it's sticky, I want the background color to be white. Okay, so that's good. That then brings up another problem in that you can't actually see the text. So to fix that, I need to go into the menu settings, I need to go into design, I need to go to, well, let's start with the logo. So if we go into the logo, and what I want is here, under these various color options, what I want to do is invert the color of the logo when it's on a white background. I can then come down to image invert, and I can choose the sticky pin, and for the sticky option I want to invert the logo completely so it shows on the white background. So that's sorted out the logo, so you can now see that as we scroll the logo changes to black. Then we need to do the same for the menu text. We don't need to invert the menu text, we can simply go into design, we can say menu text, and again we can, in the menu text color, we can choose our sticky option, choose the sticky button, and we can click on black. So there we are, we have black menu text in our sticky option. So we can now save all of these changes, exit the Visual Builder, and we've created our transparent header, and as we scroll the text color changes and everything gets just a little bit smaller. And you can play with all of these settings. You might want to make the font smaller, you might want to make the logo smaller again when it scrolls, but you get the principle. The final thing I'd like to do is add a little bit of styling to this drop-down menu because it doesn't stand out particularly brilliantly, and it's even worse on the sticky option. So in order to do that, I'm going to go back into the header template. I'm going to come back into the menu, and in the design, in the drop-down menu, I can then change all of the different things. First thing I'm going to do is for the drop-down menu text color, for the sticky option, instead of having white text, I'm going to have black text. So the drop-down now has black text. I then need to change the background color. So for the non-sticky version, let's choose a background color. Let's go with maybe some grey to match the background. There we are, so that stands out a little bit better. And then for the sticky option, again, we can choose sticky on here. And for the sticky option, we would like to have white. There we are, so we have solid white. And then for the normal version, we have a grey colour. Okay, I also think the bottom of this menu looks very sharp. I'd like to put a rounded edge on the bottom. And in order to do that, we need to go into the Advanced tab, add a little tiny bit of custom CSS. And what I'm going to say is, so it's the drop-down menu container I want to target. And I want to add border radius. And I need to go in order with all of these. So I want 0 px, 0 px, and then 20 px, and then 20 px. There we are, that's all my different values. And if I now go down, you can see that I've rounded. Actually, I think that's a little bit too much. I'm going to reduce that to 10 and 10. There we are. So that's tidied up the menu. I can save that. Now that we've sorted out the drop-down colors for the desktop menu, we need to sort them out also for the mobile menu. So to do that, we need to go in and edit our menu again. We need to go into design. We need to go, actually there's a couple of things we need to do. Let's have a look at the site in responsive mode. So you can see we've got an issue here, that icon's the wrong color. So to go in there, we need to go into icons, and you can see here are all the icons. We don't want to show the search or the cart icon, but I'm going to just change all the colors to white anyway, and you can see we now have a white hamburger menu. And let's not forget that we also need to set the icon colors for the sticky option. So if we come into sticky here, for each of these three options, even though we're only actually going to be dealing with the hamburger, just for completeness, I like to change all of them. So in sticky, we want the logos to be black. So now we've sorted out the icons, we can go to drop-down menu and we can make sure that we've got the mobile background set correctly. So for the mobile menu background color, we want it to be D2, D2, D2. That's set our gray color. For the sticky option, we want that mobile background color to be white. And then we can go into the text color. And again, for the sticky option, we want the color to be white and we want the sticky option to be black. So that should now have sorted out all of the different colors of the menus and the drop downs in the two different states. So let's choose Save. Let's come out of the Visual Builder, check that everything's working here, which it is perfectly. We can then come down to, let's say, a tablet size. And here you can see if we click on this menu, we have a grey background. If we scroll, that background changes to white with the text black. Well, that's the end of the tutorial. I really hope this has been valuable to you. If so, then I hope you'll consider subscribing to my channel and giving this video a like. Thank you very much, and I'll see you next time.